Hello and welcome to a very special show. We've just had 3 outstanding finals at Wembley and I'm delighted to welcome to the studio the Betfred Challenge Cup in the corner, the Leigh Leopards owner, Derek Beaumont, and a Leigh legend. Well, no, 3 games on loan, and you weren't a leopard either, were you?
I don't think Derek could call me a legend either.
He did all right, did Kev.
3 games on loan, you did score 2 tries. Derek, thanks for coming in the studio. Stupid but obvious question. What's the last few days been like?
Manic, do you know what? I feel like I've jumped out of a plane doing a parachute jump and I'm still in free fall yet. You know, every day goes past, I pass another cloud and floor's coming soon, I can feel it, and it's going to be a big whack when it does.
Because you had a huge celebration on Saturday night, rightly so, near Wembley. That homecoming was just outstanding as well.
Unreal.
And then last night, Loughlin Lamb got the Lance Todd and you went to support him as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, the first thing we did on the bus was stop at an off licence. So we chucked a load of booze on the bus just in case. I'm sure KR did the same. You know, you got to prepare for both outcomes, haven't you? And then we'd done quite a bit of it in the changing rooms and left a lot of it behind. So I said, come on, let's stop at this shop here. So we took the Challenge Cup trophy and stuck it on the counter, raided the guy's fridges, got him to bring some cases out the back, chucked it all on. And we was just on it all the way back. So amazing scenes.
Did you think it was possible before the season? I know you had a good squad, but did you think where you'd be in the league and it were possible that you could win the Challenge Cup?
I didn't think we'd be where we were in the league, if I'm honest with you, Kev. You know, but we did set out that we thought there's a chance of that because it's 3 wins. You know, and if you get a bit of luck of the draw, which, you know, people will say we probably did in the first 2 games, and then we had to do it the tough way via Saints. So we believed there was an opportunity there because I think over 80 minutes, you know, in Super League, because it is a solid Super League side, we knew that we could have a chance. But in the league, I thought there was at least 5 teams nailed in there, and our best performances, if we had a really good season and stayed injury-free, we could probably get that 6th spot. That's where it's set out.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk Betfred Challenge Cup. Let's talk the moment the Leigh Leopards won it.
Back it comes again. Taken on by
Great
Mulhern.
try.
Brilliant carry from Mulhern.
Lamb.
Here we go. Switch back. O'Brien. Now it's Lamb. He's got time and he sticks it over the sticks. Loughlin Lamb is a Leigh legend. Wow.
And that is the first time Leigh have won it since 1971 when it beat Leeds. Right, I want to take you back. Right, first of all, let's take you back, say, 5 minutes before the end of normal time. You were obviously leading, and you left your seat in the royal box and headed pitch side. What happened?
That's when I wanted to go, but Juicy wouldn't let me go. Then he's like, no, mate, this can still go. And I think it was probably about 3 minutes. We completed the set well with a kick down their end. I thought, they're not coming length of field. I said, I'm going now, Juicy, or we won't get there. You know, we've got to allow the time to get there. He says, come on, yeah, I'm with you. So we'd got accreditation for my son and his son and daughter because they're part of it. And we get into the little back door lift, so we actually walked past the ribbons being put on the trophy, the ones that are on it now. You know, they've got to make the call at some point to get it ready. And it looked like that was it. We gets in the lift, what they use for the royal party, and Dukesy grabs me. He's brutally chokes. He chokes Adrian Lamb out at the end of that game. If you look, he grabs me. He went, "We've just won the Challenge Cup, mate. Can you get that into you?" And I was like, wow, man, just wow. This is just unbelievable. And then the lift doors open, and there's a tiny corridor to the tunnel, and I could hear this massive roar, because we're at that sort of end, what all KR are, and I just went, no. And I literally ran into that open space, and just seen this. That was the first thing I saw, was this going up. I didn't see that bit, it was just this, try. And I was like, you're kidding me. I went, Dukes, we might not have won the Challenge Cup. And he just shot off away from me, he thought, madman. And I just thought, what am I doing standing here? And I don't know, it was 4 or 5 minutes. It felt like 15 minutes of watching that. So I was trying to mimic a reaction to try and put some pressure like crowds, fans do, you know, when it touched an hand. Oh, it's, I can't. And he gave the try, and I actually thought we'd lose it. You know, I thought we've lost this now, because momentum in rugby is massive, isn't it, Kev?
Yeah, it is. What was Lammy like then? Was he calm and composed, or was he disappointed, obviously? Was he emotional?
We were all dumbfounded. and that's what I thought the players would be. I just thought like it's as if, it's just been stole from you at that moment, because I felt we were the stronger team throughout the game. Although we never broke away from it, and credit to OKR for that, because they brought one hell of a game with them. And they'd obviously prepared really hard for it. And Lammy just looked like, wow. And he got up out of my way at the back as well. And he sat with Jutsi and Frank. And I was like, it took me back to being at Widnes in 2004. And it was 16-all. The lads are in a circle. And I'm like, why is the coach not on? Well, I didn't know the coach is not allowed on. I didn't even know that until yesterday. So I'm thinking, why is Lammy not gone on there? Like, what? And in 2004, I walked on the field. I got a metre away from the group thinking someone needs to say something. Everything's invested in this. And Rowley was in the middle of them, and I thought, I don't need to be there. And I shot off out of the way. So I knew I didn't need to be in that moment, do you know what I mean? But I felt Lammy did. And then what happened was Lammy sent a message to Clubby to get the lads to come close to the sideline so he could speak to them without going on the pitch. And what he said to them, hearing the lads talk back yesterday, just gave him that belief that it was going to be okay, and we were going to do it and just stick with it. So he was probably the calmest of us all.
So what were you thinking in Golden Point?
Well, my head had fell off, mate. I was like, I was just emotionally drained. It's the horriblest game of rugby I've watched. The St Helens one was really hard, but that was just like, because we never ever got away from them.
Just couldn't shake them off.
No, and it was like, oh my Lord, it was just nip and tuck. And Eamon McManus at Saints, he sat at the side of me, and I've watched him go for a bit, sat when it's no pressure for me when they lost to Warrington. And he's like, what are you worried about? It's fine, you're the better team, you're going to win the game. And I'm like, Eamon, do one. I'm absolutely wrecked here. I felt like I ran a marathon. And then the big moment for me was the knock-on or ball steal, as they turned out giving it as. And I'm like, that's a knock-on. So then I'm filthy then, and I'm thinking, the one thing I didn't want to happen was lose a big moment to a decision that wasn't right. And I don't think anybody in the game would want that.
No.
But me personally, and I thought, we're knackered, because he kicks that to touch. They're going 5 plays, and Snyder can knock that over, no problem, So we're done. And I didn't even see him not kick it out on the full, because I've got my head in my hands, it's over. And I'm at that moment in time, I'm preparing emotionally for the losing side of it, because I'd done that before I come. I knew how I would react. I wanted to act, magnanimous and with a bit of class. When it hadn't gone in, Jutsy's like, he's not gone in, he's missed touch. And I'm like, no way. It was like I'd got my EpiPens out and whacked myself in the leg. I was like, we can do it from here. And then we miss it. And then, an unbelievable effort from Zach Hardacre. 4 tackles on the bike, minimising their metres. Snyder didn't get near enough. And the irony there is as well, if that ball bounces as a rugby ball can back towards the line, we've got to get out off our own line in 6 plays, and they'll probably get the ascendancy. But luckily, it goes the other way, and we get the 7 tackle.
So you was telling me about a setup before, about your drop out. You had a meal with Lammy. You went through the setup. Could it have gone any better for you?
Mate, when I just watched that back there, I watched Lockie from that exact position kick that about 40 times on team run before Leeds. And then in Leeds, we
because obviously you got
scored.
Gareth O'Brien, who did such a famous drop goal for Salford.
Yeah, so Lammy, he doesn't know this, but he asked me in the week before the Leeds game. He said, Derek, do you fancy coming for a drink? Just a couple of quiet drinks, me and Alison, you and Laura. Somewhere local, nothing massive, because your team runs. So I said, yeah, I can do Friday. And I started thinking, we've never done that, and he's never asked. So I thought, has something come up here that he needs to, let me know? Is he an RL in? What is it? I started thinking worst case scenario. It was just a beer and something to eat. I'm overthinking. And we got to a point where after the meal, we sat back in the bar, and he says to me, we've got to play for drop goals, he said, and you'll see Lockie having a go tomorrow. He said, so basically, if we can get there to third tackle play, we'll set up Lockie and Gaz, but Lockie will get on his bike and we'll play on our left and run the play and score the try. If they make the tackle, we come back inside, get to the point, and then we set it up on the next play, and Gaz gets the ball and kicks it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. You'll probably get the try because the shape. And I said, but I would, if I'm reading that as a defender, I said, if you set Lockie a bit further back, it might sell that he's getting it and not Gaz, who everyone would expect to get it. And they might have to split who goals were. There'd be less pressure. And he went, yeah, I like that. And it's like, because if he gets it and he is closed down, they've shot the stack on who they're going to. Lammy's in a nice position behind him to receive the ball. And it just went exactly like that. But the whole thing's been serendipity, mate. It is absolutely crazy.
I want to ask you about Lachlan Lamb, obviously Lance Todd, winner as well, but let's talk about him in a moment. What about your reaction? I've not seen many owners jump on the top of players. So mention it to Lance Todd. Ian Lenigan's never done that before.
Yeah. Ian's probably better at other things. It was crazy.
Was that just the emotion just exploding?
Mate, I didn't even know what I'd done. I'll be honest with you. Everyone started running, and it's like you get a herd of buffalo. One runs, everyone runs, you know. But what's funny is I look like I'm going backwards. It's as if I'm on a tramolator, innit? I'm not built for running. And if I run that far now, I'll be gassed. I'm all right on a bike, and I was just running like mental, seeing them all pile on. And my claim to fame is I beat Big Ben Nakabawai there. And he tackles me in the air as I'm landing on. And then I immediately thought, I've got to get off. And because I'm thinking, you know, that's a big pylon, that is. And Lammy's at the bottom of it. And as everybody pulled off, he was just like this. And I thought, is he dead? Because he literally wasn't doing anything. It was unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable.
You've killed the Lance Todd.
He scored a try. Lachlan Lamb, obviously, golden point. Got a Lance Todd. I mean, the famous names in that Lance Todd trophy are just phenomenal names. It's a roll of honour of rugby league.
Yeah, it is. And you know, he's only 25. You know, so he's got it all there in front of him. It's massive, and it's so special seeing him. You know, you wouldn't know it was father and son in and around the club. You know, because it's so professional around that. But I do get to see those moments of pride that Adrian has, and that Lackey has doing it in front of his dad. And he also got a try assist in there as well. And they kind of joke between them because Lammy always thinks that Rad's got the Lance Todd when he probably should have got it because he'd scored and set up a try and kicked a winning field goal. But I think Rad had made some great tackles and was playing injured.
He'd been in hospital the night before as well.
I was going to say, yeah, so there was a big story around it. So he's kind of got one on his dad already at 25, you know, so there's a bit of banter around that, but I thought he fully deserved it. I often think in games like that, it's always tough picking one person out.
Yeah, it's a team game.
And it was the team, and it was the team that didn't even play that was part of all the build-up, the emotional things, the detail that we put in it was massive. And no doubt OKR did it the same way because you saw what they brought to the table. So there's a lot of energy goes into that, weeks and weeks of it.
I want to talk about his dad, Adrian. I want to talk about Chris Chester, who you brought on. I want to talk about the roller coaster you've had in the last few years. But first of all, let's hear from your skipper after that famous win.
John, you've just lifted the Betfred Challenge Cup. How's the feeling?
It's unbelievable. You can't describe that feeling, man. A lot of emotions running through right now. The way we did it, the crowd from both sides, the way they turned up today, the atmosphere was amazing. But to get it done like that, in extra time with that field goal, it's unbelievable. A lot of effort went into it today. There's only one man to thank, and that's the Bob. All glory to him.
What was the emotion like in the last 10 minutes of that golden point? It was nervy, both teams making mistakes.
No, we weren't nervous. We've got a lot of belief in this squad, and that's all we needed to do was believe in our process and what we wanted to do. You know, we trusted our game plan, trusted what we needed to do in that extra time, and it came off and got the point. So, yeah, very happy.
What does this club and this town mean to you?
It means a hell of a lot. It's the town that gave me the love for the game back, and this is why we repay them. It's giving them silverware, giving them something to cheer about, and the way they turned out today was amazing, and this is all for them.
More of the same, Super League playoffs, grand final maybe?
We're taking one game at a time now. Got about 6 games left, but we're always going to go hard for this. And you know, we're never going to say die in this competition. All we need to do is trust the process, trust with what we want to do, and I'm pretty sure we'll get there.
Derek, tell us about your captain.
Best human being I've met in the game. He's just an absolute quality human being. He's so selfless, so charitable, thinks about others. He's a great leader with his actions. His actions are always louder than his words, but when he speaks, people take notice, and he speaks well, and he puts his body on the line, and he's so committed. And he goes out in the community. He coaches one of the local amateur teams out there. You know, he's taking the cup this afternoon to Darien House in Chorley. That you know, a lot of rugby people help out and get involved in. And I'd given him 200 tickets to give away, just because you know, Catalan game's always the hardest one to sell because you've not got that away support. So I thought we'll help it with that. I said, John, I'm going to have 200 tickets away. I had no idea. He said to me the other day, he said, did you give me that because it's my 200th game? I didn't know it was your 200th game, mate. You know, and I'm not someone who just would take advantage of that and go, oh yeah, when I hadn't, you know what I mean? But it's just this connection that we have. And I spoke to John for about an hour to convince him to sign for us. During the whole COVID situation, my views on it is the same. My charity stuff is, and it was an hour's talk of just a real connection, and we've just got this special connection. And he's a fantastic man who I'll always be in debt to, along with the rest of the players and Lammy and Chesney.
I think in terms of a player, he's actually underrated because he goes under the radar a little bit because of the tackle is everyone's. The first thing people say about John Asiata is his tackle technique. Love it or hate it, he's got a different tackle technique. Yeah. But the way he plays with the ball, I think he's the best loose forward in the competition by a mile. And he pushed Sean O'Loughlin, Andy Farrell, Paul Sculthorpe, and he's that good. He should be mentioned in them names.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that, Kevin. But it's right, you know. And we don't like that tackle technique because it puts John at risk as well, and nobody, you know, he'll get looked at the end of the year. But I think the reasons he should be talked about are the ones you've just talked about. Everybody knows when they're coaching against us, he's our dad. Everything goes through him. When he's off the pitch, it drops a bit. You know, the way Lockie then gets off him. He
frees Lockie up a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he can skip a line and you know, get that overs, and then we've just got threats all over on it. So he's a massive part in what we do with the ball, and huge in defence. And, you know, that tackle on Passy against St Helens, he doesn't do what he does there. Whether people like it or they don't, that was just desperation. People run at him, they target him, tire him out. You know, they got our middles off before half-time. The only team to have done it this year to us, Saints, you know, they worked hard on it. And when he gets tired, he'll do desperate actions. He'll just put his head there. And that's what he did. And Pass, if he tries a conventional tackle, Passy scores and we don't go to Wembley.
It's the best signing now you've made, Adrian Lamb?
Without a doubt, without any shadow of a doubt whatsoever. He's just a fantastic coach. He's a player's coach. He's such hard work.
Especially on the back of what happened at Wigan as well.
Yeah, and you know, I think, you know, there's a lot about how players, you know yourself, Kev, cultures at different clubs. Different clubs have different ways, and I think Wigan, you know, it's an outstanding club, and what it's achieved is outstanding. But it's probably very, you know, robust and strict perhaps, and they might think how Lammy approaches things could be, say, a little bit loose because of the time off you're given at certain times and rewards. But the way he splits it down into his base camps, and the way we have a social in each element, and everybody has different tasks, the way it brings everything together, it's really how I think. And we you know, after that Wigan game, when even though we got a bit of an hiding, and for the only time of the year we probably gave it up a bit at a point in that game, we openly accept that as a group. We still went and did our social in Manchester, and had a good time. We didn't celebrate the semi. We had one drink together and left it because we wanted to give Wigan a go. The Saints took too much out of us. We went hard at Leeds because we want to stay up where we are, and we got a massive game next. But how we did that treble and built it throughout the year was fantastic. And then he's only had 4 trophies to play for since he got here, and he's won all 4. And he's gelled 13 new players.
And it was really close, wasn't it, at Wigan? You know, he did get a bit of stick at Wigan, but without Jay Field, they were they hit the bar, didn't they? They hit the bar. Zach Hardaker's so close to winning that game. So that's how close he was to doing great things at Wigan. I know Adrian really well from being a player, and the one thing is he cares. He really cares about his players. So I think he's a fantastic man, and he's getting the rewards. I think it was probably the nicest moment I've ever seen when he embraced his son at the end of the game.
Brilliant moment.
The best moment in rugby league.
It's what dreams are made of, isn't it? That kind of stuff.
Well, if they were in their hotel room the night before and they said, do you know what, we've got an open script here, whatever we write down happens, you wouldn't change too much about
There's nothing
that
you'd change, mate. And you know, you talk about team meetings and you've been involved in them and big moments. And yesterday, as a group, we got the challenge. They watched the whole game back, and then we got the Challenge Cup in there. We made a big circle, and we each had it and said which was our best bits, what it meant to us, It was so emotional. I've never cried as much, mate, in the last few days. It's like you mentioned roller coaster before. It's unreal. Yeah. But one of the things that really stood out for me when all the players spoke, well, there was two really. Tom Briscoe, he said, "I've won this 4 times." He said, "But I want to win this one for those who've never won it. I'll give me all for that." And then Joey Mellor's on towards the end when everyone's like heard so much, there's only so much your head can take, and you're just going to burst out. And he says, "I'm just a skinny kid who loves playing rugby." He said, "And I just love playing rugby. I never think about winning. I don't ever think I need to win or want to win." He said, "I just play rugby." He said, "But tomorrow, for the first time in my life, I want to win." He said, "I want to win that game. And I give everything I've got. If it's 4 minutes I get on or 20 or whatever I get, I'll give you everything in that space of time, And he just stood up and he went on and
came on and did. He gave Pape a break, but I thought defensively were great when he came on.
Everybody did exactly what they said they'd do to a man.
What about your roller coaster, Vince? So you started as a sponsor in 2002. You left the club, didn't you? Then returned. You've had back in the Super League, relegated. You got the 12th team when Toronto went, relegated. Come back up last year. People are forgetting you're a championship team last year, and then you've won. You have won the Challenge Cup this year, and you're currently what? Is it joint fourth?
Well, Saints have just gone
joint fourth in the Super League, yeah. What about your journey, first of all, from being a sponsor to now being the owner and having won in the Challenge Cup?
Well, it's joint second because we're all on the same points in second place. It's just points difference. Obviously, Saints got that win and they go a little bit above us, so it's tight up there. And I think anyone who gets in the 6, by the way, and we could easily lose a few games on the bike after that and not make it. So, we know the job in hand. But for me, I describe, you said before roller coaster. For me, if Rugby League's a theme park, then I think we're the biggest attraction in terms of, amusement and value and novelty and comedy. And we've definitely got the biggest roller coaster in there, because the club's been up, it's been down. Nobody's had a journey like Leigh Centurions and Leigh Leopards has. And it's been desperately difficult at times. I've had some of the lowest points in my life, like real desperate times. And I've just experienced the biggest high. It's unbelievable what it can do to you, and it's so hard dealing with it. But what makes it special is what it does for the fans, what it does for the community, how you can actually infect a community, how you can, make people happy and you can raise money and you can rugby players are heroes in our town like footballers. Do you know what I mean? It's that level. You get that cup out, and Dukesy walked through Leigh with it to take it into a pub that night, I think it took him an hour. Chesney left the ground with it, and it took him an hour to walk across to the Hilton. It's so special, and that homecoming, I think, just typified it. So for me, it's for them. I think you said to me last night at the Lance Todd dinner, or somebody said to me, did you feel vindicated and think, I told you so? Absolutely not, because I'm not that type of person. Do you know what I mean? I always knew at some point in my life I'll get a team together and the right coaching staff or whatever and do it. I knew I'd never fail, because you don't fail at something till you stop trying, and I wouldn't stop trying till I'm put in a box. So I'd never know that I'd failed, because I'd have never stopped trying and I'd have been dead. You know what I mean? And there's no more to come. And now
that's what I was going to ask. Does it make you even hungrier now you've felt it?
Yeah, it's like turning left on plane. You just want more, you know what I mean? You don't want to go back. But, we've got to be grounded, because, there's good teams in there. And we've I don't want to say we've overachieved, because, we've got some great players in there. The players that were probably in environments that weren't ideal to get the best out of them, and now they're in an environment that does bring the best out of them.
You're in the joint second in merit.
Yeah.
Where you've been playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I want to talk marketing. I think you have pulled off the best marketing in Rugby League for a long, long time. Look, a lot of people were sceptical. A lot of people took the mick at the beginning. Tell us a story behind the Leopards, because it's quite personal as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it all goes back really, I suppose, to that 2020 application, right? Because we root and branched the whole lot. You know, we wanted to win that, and we wanted to put the best thing together. And marketing's always been my forte. You know, I built a sales and marketing, the old sell centre, the Arrows, whatever. I was a direct salesman at 18-year-old selling double glazing, convincing people, pressure selling. So I've always kind of come through that sort of area. And I was really, you know, really looking at everything. We put this fantastic document together. One day we should put it out there, really, because it really was superb what we did. And then how we marketed the whole process, even, you know, getting Eddie Hemmings down, and you know, the whole thing was great. But it taught me a lot about the club, that it was just so dysfunctional in so many ways in terms of as a brand, which I'd never really looked at. So I found out within that process that we were called Centurions when it should have been a Centurion, as in 100, because it was 1895, 1995 when it was done, and someone just spelt it wrong. So it came about by mistake. I know there's no Leopards in Leigh, but there's definitely no Centurions. We've got no connection with Rome, or, you know, I was like, what's that? And we had a pig as a mascot. And I'm like, where does that one fit in? And that's because a sponsor, Skoda, at the time had a pig as their mascot, so it became ours. So it didn't look right, and I thought, if I'm IMG now, and I reckon if you ask Matt Dwyer this outright, if I'm IMG looking at Leigh Centurions next to Wigan, red and white stripes, a Warrior, a Centurion, near each other, which one's the real bag and which one's the fake handbag? You know what I mean? Who are they going to pick? They're going to pick Wigan because it's steeped in history, it's a bigger club, and just say either Leigh get on board with them or go and do something else. If they're picking 12 or 14 clubs, that's how I viewed it. I said, so we need to do something here, we need to change it. And by changing it, if we get something more vibrant, we can steal a march on them, and we can get this place full. Filling a 10,000 seat stadium looks great. Trying to fill a 25,000 one is a tough gig. So it will look a better prospect. And then the Leopards element, really, it's my favourite animal, and I'm big on conservation. I'm big in South Africa. I bought a place out there called Leopard Rock that same year, and I'd had a near-death experience out there and stuff. But it was never a thought to do anything at that point. It wasn't a driver. And it was literally, genuinely, whoever did this tweet will probably love this for themselves, because I went and clapped the crowd in a leopard print hoodie, which was my thing that I bought. Just I like D&G stuff and I like leopard print stuff. So, and somebody had put a tweet on saying, what the hell is a 50-odd-year-old man who's dressed in leopard print? You know, you look at that, wasn't. So I tweeted back to him, 50-odd-year-old man, mate, I'll put all my team in leopard print, what are you chatting about? You know, like, that's what, just having the crack. And then one of the girls on the board said at the time, Karen, would you do that? And I was like, yeah. So I then thought about it. Leigh Leopards, LL, literally works. You know, you've got rhinos, you've got, you know, all the different animal names, wildcats, different things in there. So it fits within what Super League already has as well. Yeah. And it gives so much opportunity on marketing. So I sense checked it with the the Summer Bash shirt, what we played in at Leeds against Fev. And if you look back at that, although it read, it had black leopard print all over around the top of it. And it sold crazily. And so when everybody came out with, you won't get me in leopard print, I can't believe he's killing our club, blah, 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 you'll never see me in leopard print. So you've already wore it. You've already wore it, right? But then those same people now, they're on the journey, love it. And you saw at Wembley.
Leopard print bucket hats, leopard print handbags, leopard print dresses.
Yeah, and you don't have to, you know, think about sport, right? If you're, you know, in particular football, if you're a United fan, you only show you're a United fan either with a scarf or you've got a replica on. Similar in rugby. A lot of old men don't like replicas. A lot of women don't like wearing replicas, you know what I mean? And you'll never please anyone with one item. And your replica is one item and your away item. So when you open it up like that, you can have so much different things. You can wear it massive. You can just have some little ears,
shoes, gloves,
everything. And you can get just a bracelet for £1. You don't have to buy our branded stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it opens it up to more people to be able to show who they support.
Right, Derek, you have a rest for 2 minutes. Right, let's just talk about the Super League this weekend. Huge game, Sky Friday night, Wakefield Cass.
Wow. Well, this is a game that I've been looking forward to for a good month or 6 weeks since Wakey started to get the resurrection
And
of the season.
Wakefield are favourites after losing 14 on the
bounce.
bounce.
Must be the first time they're the favourites all year, and that's a different dynamic, how they cope and how they come into the game with that pressure. At Wakey, I think everything's set up for them now to beat Cass and put them on that journey where they can stay in Super League.
Also on Friday night, you've got Huddersfield versus Salford, Wigan, Hull, St Helens, Hull, KR. Saturday, live on Sky, Leigh Leopards versus the Catalan Dragons. Dodgy are playing as well.
They are, yeah.
I remember from my university days, good band.
Yeah, if they're good enough for you, mate, they're good enough for me.
but you're still putting the bands on. So you've done it's not just been rebranding to the Leopards, it's keeping the stage, keeping the entertainment and trying to entertain people at home games.
It was coming in with a big, massive statement, was what it was. You know, that first game against Salford, the Fuel Girls, that massive operation akin to like NFL stuff, getting all that on and off the field and going crazy with it. And then it was about creating experience. I'm trying to do what I thought IMG would be getting everyone to do, you know what I mean? So I thought, let's do what, if there's going to be a choosing of a club, which is not turned out that way, it's the scoring system, but we didn't know at the time. And then I've just gone, let's just keep going with it. Let's make it an atmosphere that you come to. And I get players coming up to me from other sides at the end of the game saying, mate, that's just the best, that's been like playing in a final. That's the best occasion I've had as a rugby player. You know, and that's special.
It feels like how Bradford, Bullmania back in the day. When I went to that game,
He's making sure it's more than just a game.
It's the entertainment industry. When you go, it felt like I was at a concert.
Yeah.
And then Rugby League came on. I'm like, this is heaven.
Yeah.
So is it going to be a party on Saturday?
Saturday should be great. We've obviously I didn't know we was going to go and win the Challenge Cup before it. There was another initiative we was going to be running for this game to get a big crowd for it that I pulled out once we made the final. I hadn't put it out there, and I didn't put it out there because I thought, you know, there'd be demand for people just from the town who want to go. But we'd already done an initiative, what we did with disadvantaged families getting down to Wembley. I'd already given a vast number of tickets away to disadvantaged families to come and enjoy that game, because we open all the 4 stands anyway, so there might as well be bums on seats in there. And it's not taking off your gate. So we should have a big crowd. We've got Dodgy on, we've got the usual fireworks and razzmatazz, and we've got the inform team, top of the table, coming over, who's beat us twice so far this season. And, you know, we've just had the old Wembley hangover.
You've got the Betfred Challenge Cup to show off as well.
We'll be doing that, and we'll do that via the school, Bedford High School, that went and got a place at Wembley. Unfortunately, they got beat in that game, and to be fair, the other team deserved to win that game. So OKR got the school win, we got the other win. So I said to them, listen, get your heads up, get down to our place on Saturday, and you can parade that at half time for, you know, as a reward, show it off for us that you went to Wembley and represented Leigh.
Right, we've got a few things to wrap up before we finish. On Sunday, on the Our League app, Leeds-Warrington. This is a massive game for both clubs. Leeds, if you are going to get in the playoffs. Warrington, if you're going to stay in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Warrington, with Gary Chambers in the hot seat now, they need to get some sort of reaction. The last game, it fizzled out. It wasn't much of a reaction. And Gary's a great bloke, and he'll be a good coach. But the players need to have a look at themselves now, and they're in a big risk of dropping out of the playoffs. If they keep performing, I think it's 6 on the bounce they've lost, they will drop out. Derek said it's so close, and there's teams underneath now starting to come up. If Leeds can go there, and they'll expect to, they'll really fancy it. If they can get the points, then their season's looking up like it was a couple of years ago when they made the grand final.
It was the 80th Wembley final, but it was historic because we had the women's final as well. You worked on it. Jodie Cunningham, deserved man of the match. And Saints were the better team, weren't they?
Oh, it was a good
final.
It was a great final. I thought Caitlin Beavers for Leeds was fantastic. The try where Zoe Harris did the long ball, I thought that was the best try. Well, no, not the best try of the day. Batley's try was the best try of the day. But I thought Jodie Cunningham, I thought Zoe Harris, I thought Emily Rudge, they're just such good professionals. And that's the thing. When I spoke to Jodie, Derek was very happy on that field, but the girls, they all brought down crying. They didn't even have brilliant. That dream.
It was brilliant to be at Wembley as well, wasn't it? And then the final game, of course, you turned sponsor for the final game.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I enjoyed that because it gives opportunity, you know, at Wembley for players. Not a lot get to go there, do they? And it's massive. And even the detail around that, we wanted to respect that fully. So, you know, my missus goes and gets presented to the team, presents a cup. So she did a quick change out of her full leopard print dress because we didn't want it to be anything about leopards at that point, you know what I mean? So she respectfully
full respect
got
to
a
you.
nice...
I saw a change, I wondered why.
Yeah, just because we didn't want it to be about that or loudness. That's done, part that up, and now let these teams have their moment and it be about them and not about us. So, you know, I tried to sit, I didn't sit in my seat in the middle. I came out of that and enjoyed watching the game, and I thought it'd be close, that game, and it was another great game. And I like both clubs. I've probably got more mates who support Batley, and I think Kevin's a funny guy. You know, he was quite a good comment. He come up to me, he said, "Nobody told me it was fancy dress." And Eamon Matt Manners turned around to him and said, "Why? Which one of you's got fancy dress on?" Because he had a pink jacket on. But the last try, and then that to be down to a kick, because ultimately that kick takes it golden point or doesn't. I just thought it was great, and to be a sponsor of it was a privilege again.
Right, we've run out of time. Kev, just before we finish, let's be honest, me and you sat here at the beginning of the season. We said he signed all the experience to make sure he stays up when he's won the Challenge Cup, and he should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I was sceptical when they came up, just because history tells you the teams that come up, they go back down, and I knew they were a very good side, but I didn't expect, I'll hold my hands up, I didn't expect them to be anywhere near the playoffs or anywhere near the Challenge Cup and be sat here. So, and not just that, the stuff, and we've said a few times how good it's been
off the pitch,
off the field. So
put your medal on, please, Derek.
Come
on, let's see your medal.
Get the Betfred.
There we are.
The Betfred logo.
We'll leave the final word with you then. So you've just won the Betfred Challenge Cup. What can Leigh do?
Well, we did the treble last year, and we're still in the race on the two that are left. I think Saturday is a massive game. Massive game. I've spoke a lot about the word serendipity, and I think if we win on Saturday, which will be a big ask, but if we win on Saturday, then I think the serendipity moment will be Leigh v Wigan in the last regular game of the season in the Leopards Den. And I reckon that game will decide who gets crowned league leaders if we win on Saturday. Because if we can win that game, I can't see where we will let it go. Injuries will play the part, but we've got some players coming back as well now. Frankie Alton, we've got Ollie Gildart now who's back eligible. So it's about keeping it all where it is. Wigan's had the measure on us twice. Catalan's had the measure on us twice. Salford was the only other team to have had the measure on us twice, and we got them the third time. So, you know, that's what we're all about, almonds and first. It's going to be massively difficult, but can you imagine? That's my new dream. It has to be. You've got to always, you knock one off, you've got to get straight.
You're the only team that can do the treble, Derek.
Well, that's the one. Massive ask. Do I genuinely think that'll happen? No, I think it's too much. You know, if all I end up with that, I'd have took your hand off at the beginning of the year. So whatever happens here on in, I just want to enjoy it and let the fans enjoy it and try and not put too much pressure on ourselves. But as a group, it comes on you because of where we are. You can't hide from it. You know, you can't playing things down. We're where we are because of the work that the players have done. And the rebrand's where it is because of the work the players have done. You know, let's have it right, really, because it's what goes on the pitch that dictates the success in your club. I can do what I can do, and I'll take credit for the bits of that. But if we're at the bottom of the league, if we went the first 14 getting spanked like, you know, Wakefield struggled to start with, this would be all down to, you know, what an idiot, you know, we've changed this name and blah, 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 nothing's changed. So everything deservedly goes to Chessie, Lammy and the boys, in my opinion, and that there's for the fans.
Carry on enjoying it.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Now, there is still one Betfred Challenge Cup to be won, and we'll leave you with the details. It's on Sunday, it's in Sheffield, it's live on the BBC Sport. Good luck to Leeds versus Catalans in the wheelchair final.
Welcome along to the Wheelchair Challenge Cup final. Leeds Rhinos take on the French side, the Catalan Dragons. Going forward now, trying to get on the outside, yes. And the super sub is over. And the ball going wide.
Yes.
Void Ward is going to be on the end of it. Will tap the ball on the wheel. This promises to be an absolute treat. If you love your rugby league, you will love this game. And we've got every second of it live right here on BBC Sport.